We are in absolute unprecedented times right now, everybody. We're in these brand new waters in crypto cycles that we've never been in before. In this video, I want to break down the charts. I want to talk about Bitcoin dominance, what's happening, a very big move happening right now in Bitcoin dominance, what it means for altcoin markets. But I'm going to intertwine the Bitcoin spot ETF weeks away, Coinbase versus SEC weeks away, and this unknown thing going into 2024 that I just can't get off my mind right now. And I want to tie it all into the technical analysis of crypto cycles, Bitcoin cycles, altcoin cycles, and discuss the true indicators from a chart perspective that I'm watching for. But I will say one thing right off the bat. Everything that I'm going to discuss, we are truly in waters that we've never been. I'm going to dig into the depths of it to show you how that is. There is, I think, very good reason to just tread lightly. There's very good reason for caution right now. And I'm going to show you the indicators that I'm waiting for to trigger to give me a sense of what direction are we heading into next in the short term. So please hit the subscribe, hit the like. Let's discuss these things. I'm trying to figure out the best way to unpack all of this, everybody. I think I'm going to start from a foundational perspective, the big move that is happening on Bitcoin dominance. This big move is the starting point. Breaking this is going back to May 2021, by the way. This uprising on the momentum oscillator, Bitcoin dominance making moves to the upside. It's an exact move that we saw in the last cycle, pre-halving. It's playing out almost identical. So from that perspective, there is consistency all across the cycles of crypto right now. But when you start digging into, peeling back some layers, things become a little bit like, oh, that's tricky. And so that's what's happening right now. Bitcoin dominance is breaking this trend line in a similar way that it broke right here, back here in 2020, or actually 2019, 2020, pre-halving. But I'm going to dig into why it's a little different for altcoins. The general thought might be, man, Bitcoin dominance is about to fall again like it did last time. Altcoin's going to make a move to the upside. I'm going to use Ethereum and I'm going to use ADA to kind of illustrate this. If we go and we look at Ethereum, for instance, back at this time, last cycle, when Bitcoin dominance, just to give you an idea, this is the Bitcoin dominance move we're comparing back here. When Bitcoin dominance was making this move, please take note of Ethereum. It did make the move to the upside. It made a very good move to the upside. And this is where things get tricky, deceiving. Many people might be like, hey, we're about to get an altcoin run. Many people might call it alt season. There might be some videos, prepare for alt season. I say time and time again, I don't think altcoin season is until over here, post Bitcoin halving. Now, notice when Ethereum did make the move as Bitcoin dominance was falling back then, notice where the move was coming off of. This launch pad area on the momentum oscillator, a boost it was to the RSI overbought territory, right? So it was ready to make that move as Bitcoin dominance falling. You go to something like ADA. We go to ADA on the weekly at the same time. ADA made a similar move, right to the upside, break to the upside, right? Same thing. ADA was at this launch pad area from an RSI perspective, a ton of momentum to the upside to make the move. Here's where we're in unprecedented waters. ADA, if you look at ADA, as Bitcoin dominance is just triggering this move, ADA doesn't have this launch pad starting point right now. ADA is overbought. Altcoins are overbought. Ethereum, definitely not as overbought as something like Cardano, Solana, AVAX, things like that. But it touched overbought. It's not at this launch pad level that it was at last time. For me, this doesn't say it's definite altcoins are not going to make a run, but it does say to me, be careful. It has my eyebrow raised a little bit. Now we start tying into play into these charts and the technicals of what we're discussing. Yeah, there's caution there from a technical analysis perspective, but what else? Well, going back to this chart, Bitcoin spot ETF. Bitcoin has this thing that's in play right now. This is where things get even more dicey. Bitcoin has this thing in play right now. Yeah, it broke a technical level, but the Bitcoin spot ETF is almost imminent in the coming week and a half, 2 weeks. Look at this. This was just today. Silbert stepping down as Grayscale's chairman, effective January 1st. Eric over here, an analyst at Bloomberg, says, I have no info beyond this article, but my gut tells me this is Grayscale trying to show SEC it's being a good boy and worthy of making first tranche of launches. SEC's been meeting with all of these firms. There's so many indicators that say it's going to be approved. If this is the case, I don't know in the short to midterm, and more the midterm, how Bitcoin will react. My initial thought is it's going to pump, and then maybe we get actually a big just crash to the downside. But either way, Bitcoin dominance off of Bitcoin spot ETF news is probably, I would say, more likely than not, right? And so, yeah, we're getting the break to downside from a technical level, but we're in this environment where we have a Bitcoin spot ETF driving insanely bullish narrative on the macro for Bitcoin. So this might cruise to the upside, while, remember, things like ADA are overbought. That screams caution for me in the altcoin market, at least for the short term. I'm going to talk about the exact indicators to look out for, but this screams caution. Now, the other thing I just want to throw into the mix, because now things get very uncertain. January 17th, the Coinbase versus SEC oral arguments. If this just leans towards a positive type of thing for Coinbase, this will be very good for things like ADA. So now we have a positive potential narrative and event for things like ADA and altcoins. That makes things even more tricky to identify what is going to happen next. I have indicators that I'm going to show you in this video in a couple minutes that I'm watching. I'm not trying to speculate as much as right now I'm just watching. I'm waiting and watching. But that's in play. And then this third thing is the unknown. I just want to say this from my perspective. Please let me know in the comments if you're on board with me or if you think I'm crazy, but the world, as you see right now, is crazy right now. We have wars taking place everywhere. We have the civil unrest in this country is absolutely insane. And we're going into an election year. There is so much unknown. There's conspiracy theories floating around that I don't think are conspiracy theories at all. And we've been here before in terms of conspiracy theories pretty much being proven true just based off of data. Unemotional analysis, even with that. But going into an election year, I think there is so much in play, and I'm not going to talk about the details. I'm not going to make it about that. But there is so much in play for pretty negative things to happen. The unknown of it all. And what happens in that type of event, a black swan type of event? It's almost like we just don't know how that would impact these markets. And that's just this third equation that plays into these charts as we go into this new 2024. It's an election year. The world is just going crazy. This country is falling apart, absolutely falling apart. There's so much in play that I think could go wrong. And how that impacts crypto, that's next level. That's next level. And all we can do is anticipate the worst, right? We can anticipate the best, but also anticipate the worst. Expect nothing, anticipate everything. So all of these things are like in the charts right now, and we truly are. This is a time that we've never seen in crypto. All of these just opposing forces, bullish and bearish, and all of these events happening. Here's where I step back, and this is in particular, we know what's going on with the Bitcoin spot ETF, the Bitcoin dominance potential, short-term potential to the upside. When we start talking about altcoin markets, here's what I do. I go over here, and I look at the technicals. I put the emotion aside, events aside. I say, where are we just technically? Because this is what's been the most sound. No matter what event happens, this has been the most sound thing to watch for that keeps me in check. First off, ADA overbought. It doesn't matter if you hold ADA or not. I study ADA charts a lot. Ethereum, it's not quite overbought, but it's up there. These altcoin markets are overbought. That's number one. A little bit of caution. That doesn't mean we won't continue getting a break to the upside if things go really well for altcoins, for the Coinbase case, right? For crypto, if crypto just keeps getting adoption, things could keep going. But that's first piece of caution. But then the other thing is I started digging in, and now I'm going to look at a couple of Lux algo indicators that are really helping me get even more perspective, the depths of these markets right now. We're comparing where we are right now to the Bitcoin dominance move, right? So this is ADA charts. This is ADA chart last cycle. Well, we're overbought, and we weren't overbought here when we made that move. We're more kind of in this area of overbought here when ADA was going into staking. That's why we keep saying ADA's making this power move to the upside earlier this cycle, pre-Bitcoin halving, not post-Bitcoin halving. But regardless, the move is very similar. Into overbought, we are. Into overbought, we are. It's earlier, but that's where we are. So I started going back, and I wanted to study the this move going into Shelley back in 2020, post Bitcoin halving, I wanted to study that move on ADA on the daily. And so what I noticed was this. We've already identified this Lux Algo order block, right? And that's what this is, this order block. It's just this high volume area. It's illustrating this high volume area of market participation. There's resistance here, right? And so when we get these types of areas, we're either getting an order block of resistance, which is what we have here, or one of support back here, right? So I went back to this Shelley move. So here it is on the weekly, this very similar move. And I wanted to look at what was going on in the daily chart back then. And you can see what happened. I'm going to go to ADA and I'm going to go, and this is not just ADA, everybody. This is kind of an analysis for any altcoin that anybody holds. But we go back and I want to replay for you the move to that swing high right there. So I'm going to go play it and check it out. You see that swing high right there starts hitting this area, this order book, this order block of resistance, right? And the same thing is what's happening right now. We're hitting an order block of resistance. And I'm just going to show it one more time in case you missed it. It triggered very quickly on this chart, but check it out. Check it out. There it is. Did you see that? Let me slow it down. Boom. Did you see that order block? We wicked to the upside. Kind of a fake out to the upside through that order block. And then watch what happens next, because this is the next important piece that I'm anticipating in terms of the potential for a retracement, for the bullishness to fail. That change of character triggered, but bearish change of character. The bearish break of structure triggered. And then look what happened right now. A bounce off of an order block. So it finally found support at this order block to the downside. Going to the ADA chart, we have something very similar happening. So let's go to the current kind of chart. So there's our resistance. It seems like an even bigger area of resistance for ADA right now. We're within consolidation, so there's been no confirmations yet. We're in the structure setup into the 20-day. Mind you, this could break to the upside, and that's something I'm waiting for. Do we get a break to the upside through this upper trend line, through this order block of resistance? This would be, again, something we've not seen. This would be a power move in the altcoin market that we've not seen, and it could signal something very powerful for altcoins and for crypto in general, but I'm waiting for the move because it hasn't happened yet. Right now, all I have is caution and an area of resistance. Now, to the downside, as you remember, we started seeing change of character in that overbought territory back then, years ago, change of character as it started falling to the downside. Do we start getting similar types of moves on ADA? That's what I'm waiting for, because if we do, then we have targets to the downside, and they're not very pretty, right? This right here, you can just see this order block down here is sitting at around 39 to like 37 cents or so. So that's potentially in play, retracement. And would it be so uncommon for something like that to happen? No, it's exactly what happened in the last cycle. These are some things I'm anticipating in terms of altcoins, but I'm waiting for these indicators to trigger. I'm waiting for, not headlines, not news events. I'm waiting for them to happen to see how it triggers a move on the charts, but I'm not speculating purely on those events. I'm waiting to see what the charts do. I'm waiting to see what these indicators do, because out of anything over the years, it's the indicators that have helped me stay unemotional through these times where we run into just a confluence of multiple things where we're just like, man, how is this going to move markets right now? And then you look back at the charts and you do see, okay, that makes sense how that actually played out. And it only makes sense because of the technicals. It only makes sense because of how the data is plotted on the screen. I mean, right now, we have a lot of data that's offering us a lot of just, I think, guidance in terms of what to anticipate. It's just a matter of waiting for certain things to trigger. And that's what I'm doing now. You look at something like Ethereum. Ethereum at this upper trend line, its own area of resistance on these charts. So what's going to happen with Ethereum during this next couple of weeks? There's room for retracement for Ethereum. Ethereum already had its 20-week moving average crossing the 50, right? That's why Ethereum's consolidating in a way that it hasn't, or in a separate way from other altcoins because it's already made its kind of more bullish move from a dominance perspective back then. It made an earlier move. I think many people might be forgetting that. It's just consolidating now, but there's room to the downside. There's room to the downside for ADA. But what if Ethereum breaks and gets separation from this upper trend line? Again, that could be a power move, but I'm only sitting here waiting for an Ethereum move like that to see if it even happens. I'm only sitting here waiting on a Cardano move to even see if it happens to the upside. Otherwise, what does consolidation to the downside look like? I'm just being cautious right now, everybody, because we are really in these times that are just absolutely, I said it a couple times, I think, but unprecedented. It's really like nothing we've ever seen. It's all about caution, patience, not trying to guess exactly what's going to happen. Nobody can predict. It's all about, for me, anticipating every scenario. And I think evaluating and waiting for certain things to trigger on the charts is very helpful for me to do. So we're going to continue watching these charts. I should have mentioned earlier, very curious at the 20-week moving average for Bitcoin dominance. You can just see it's hovering just above that area. When it made that move to the downside last cycle, breaking that trend that it was in, notice what happened at that time. Bitcoin was falling below, or getting ready to fall below, the 20-week moving average. In the next couple of weeks, with the Bitcoin spot ETF, what happens here? Does it actually diverge, start seeing support at this general area, and make another move to the upside? That would be different than last cycle. Could be a short-term move for Bitcoin dominance back to the upside before finally falling, truly falling, because I think in the long term, Bitcoin dominance is falling. So only a matter of time, but these are some of the things I'm watching, everybody. I appreciate you cruising through. I will see you all in the next video. God bless.